Mr. Arnold Puech d'Alissac is waiting for a connection. He comes from Normandy in France, and with his wife he operates breeding of poultry, like open gate, open air. He's also president of Young Farmers in his location, and he's also member of the presidency of the National Federation of Farmers Union, and since 2017 he's been also of the Commission, Food Chain Commission. So I would like Mr. d'Alissac to make his presentation.
Zelený úděl jako výzva pro evropské zemědělství.
Thank you, Mr. The member of the European Parliament, President Pisha. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a pleasure for me to introduce just a short comments. I am anymore the chairman of the Young Farmers in Europe. I was 20 years ago. Now I am member of COPA with my chairwoman Christiane Lambert, and I'm also member of the European Economic and Social Committee in Brussels. I am in the National Board of FNSEA in charge of international affairs. I want to share with you a presentation of the challenges of the Green Deal for the European agriculture. You will have the second pages very soon. Second pages. Okay, here you have the summary of my presentation. I want to develop 6 different points. First of all, the importance of agriculture for the food sovereignty. It's something very crucial, and it was one of the first ambition of the CAP 60 years ago, and it still continues to be something very important. Secondly, I will develop the necessity to acknowledge the progress made by the farmers. In this Green Deal, we have a lot of challenge, and it's important to recognize all this progress also already done. Thirdly, I will underline the strengthened farmers' roles in climate change. We are a problem. We are able to mitigate, but we are also able to solve this problem of carbon in the air, and it's important to know that. I will develop a point that we develop usually first with the farmer, the necessity of a good income. Without income, it's impossible to have farmers who are able to change or to go and to trust you. And I will also underline the necessity to have some coherence in the EU policy and improve this coherence, which is not always the case between the necessity to trade and the necessity to have a high standard in Europe. And the last thing is to promote an independent science-based policy making. I won't continue. I hope it's okay. No, page 3, maybe here. Okay. I want to, yes, the necessity of the food security at national level. I have here the figures of the Czech Republic and a few minutes ago, and it's important to know that it's a national role, but it's also a European role, and we are that more and more in Europe. And it's also an international role, the necessity of the food security. We feed a large part of the world, and all the North African citizens are fed very often with our wheat, for example, and sometimes with a part of our chicken. And it's something important to know and to be aware, and we need to be glad and proud. A big challenge for 2050, 9 billion of people we need to be fed, and it's the necessity to increase the food production by 60% in terms of quantity, and at the international level. And I want to underline the efficiency of the food chain during this COVID-19 pandemic. We have shown during this lockdown that we are able to feed all the citizens. Most of the people sometimes can't work, but they are fine every day, every week, all the food necessary for their life everywhere in the market. Here it's some figures about the share of market by the French agricultural products, agri-industry. Between 20 and 15, the French exportation in value have increased a lot, and it's the same for the European level. And if you look at the small figures on the graph, you can see that if our exportation have increased in value, in volume, in share of market, we have less share of market than in the past. It's a problem of the French. It's not something we have to solve today. Here it's the result of this business in agriculture. Since 10 years, the agri-trade balance is extraordinary of 15 billion of euro. It's a nice result. It was not the case in the past, and we are still the first importer in the world for Europe. But we have now an extraordinary agri-trade balance, and it's one of the good results of the CAP, and it showed the importance of Europe, of the quality of the produce in Europe, to feed the consumer in the world. The necessity now, I want to develop the necessity to recognize the progress made by the farmers. We will never forget that since 1990, 20% of the emission of gas carbon in the air are reducing of 20% in Europe. It's depend of the country. Some countries are at less 30%. The northern countries of the EU, the southern countries have done less progress until now, but we need to continue, and we need to recognize that. Secondly, we need to recognize the high quality food acknowledged by the worldwide. Everybody in the world want to be fed by European products. When they have money in Asia, in China, for example, they buy produce in Europe because they are sure of the quality, sure of the taste, sure of the safety of the products, and it's important to be proud and to know that. Don't forget also the diversity of farm and products. We have a large diversity of farm and products in Europe, and it's important to keep that always. And all the different reforms of the CAP, if they are always difficult to follow by the farmer, we need to recognize that they have support all the farms, and it's a good point for the CAP. And also, we need to remember all the environmental rules developed by the EU farmers. In 1992, the Nitrogen Directive, who have been implemented in the EU and who are now developed everywhere, where you see the result and the increase of the quality of the water everywhere in the EU with less and less nitrogen, when we can see the result. Linked to the CAP, the cross compliance since 2003, the necessity to have this cross compliance to receive the support of the CAP, and the last reform in 2014 with the greening, the necessity to keep the pastures It's an example of the environmental rules followed by the EU farmers. Globally, FNSEA is in line with the orientation of the European Commission about the Green Deal, and we are agree for defending a double performance, economic and environmental. And I have underlined the word orientation. We are not agree with everything, and we can continue to discuss about that, but about the orientation, the necessity to go in this direction, we agree. I want to now to strengthen the farmer's role in the climate change. We are central go of my organization, the FNSEA, but it's where we need to go when we work, remain competitive. It's the fight of every chambers of agriculture or every union of farmers in the world, and it's important to keep that also in the EU. Secondly, supply high quality food. It's really the big demands of the market, and it's always the markets who drive our jobs, and we need to keep that. And the last thing, something new, and we are not enough know and not enough share by the farmer, the necessity of the adaptation and mitigation of with the climate change. I have right on the left three things important for me. First of all, it's increased the cost for the farmers, and we need to be aware of that. But it will also increase the cost for the consumers. It's not always the public money who will pay, and it's not the citizen who will pay, it's the consumers also. And the price of everything will increase with the Green Deal in the EU. And when the Commission forgot to say that, they lie to the European citizen. And for that, we need some strong support towards transition for renewable energy. We have done that in the past with the biodiesel, but we need to continue, and we need also to support the farmer who will storage more and more carbon in the soils. It's the main exit tomorrow for answering to this problem of carbon in the world. I want to now to underline the farmer's income. For myself, and I'm sure that Martin Picha will share that with me. It's a prerequisite to meet challenges. Income is a necessity for farmers. The CAP now and with a new toolbox adapt to go towards this climate change issue is fundamental. But the environmental challenges will be reached not by binding measure, but by relevance of incentive measure. It's fundamental. Really, if you want to have a large support of the farmer, give them an incentive measure. And I will repeat that the money of the CAP is well spent now. Without CAP subsidized in my country, 50% of the farmers will have a negative current result. And it's important to keep that and to know that. Improve the EU policy coherence and an adequate budget. When last week Poland or Hungary have said they are anymore agree, it's a problem. And also when Mr. Timmermans, the vice chair of the Commission, say maybe the CAP is not good and we need to withdraw the CAP. I find he repeats stupidly the argue of the NGO, and it's not his role in in the negotiation now, because we have now the trilogue between the Commission, the Parliament, and the Commission, and he needs to keep his job of vice chair of the Commission and not to go on the feet of the other. I want to also to underline the necessity of labeling. It's something with something difficult in the EU, but labeling is fundamental. When you buy a shirt or shoes, if you have a crocodile on the shoes or on the T-shirt, you will pay that less cheap. It will be less cheap, and you will spend more money. It's the same if you are able to write that it's produced in this country with this type of production, you can pay more. If you know nothing about the food, and the labeling is something essential for all. It's recognize the quality of the products and the farmer competencies. Also, on labeling, we are opposite to the color coding system. A lot of countries in the EU have developed this idea. It's more, it's afraid the consumer sometimes, and it's not inform them. And we prefer a system like the Italian support, where it's based on the portion consumed by the citizen, and it show you which part of different type of product you need to eat, and it's something better than this simplest model with this color coding system. Competition law, I will say a word about that. It's important to improve the distribution of the added value between farmers and the industry. And for that, I want to share with you the job we have done. It's a graph who came from the French observatory for about price and margin. It's a public services, and it's compared the price of 1 liter of semi-skimmed French milk sold for 82 cents. It's the same price in 2018 and in 2019, and the taxes, it's always 4 cents. The share for the retailers is always 17 cents, but the share of the farmer increase of 4 cents when the share of the industry decrease of 4 cents. And it's because we have a little bit more power in the food chain, and the French law give us this power, and we need to continue in this direction. We have a cost of production, like the retailers, like the industry, like everybody, and the price need to be in link with the cost of production, not only with the price of the world market. It's a transition for the world market. I want now in this slide improve the EU policy coherence. Price arguments are a key element in all the trade agreement, all the future trade agreement. We need to respect that. Everybody except some country have signed this Paris Agreement, where everybody will make an effort for consuming less carbon when we produce, and it's need to be in all the trade agreement. For that, it's for us fundamental to have a carbon border adjustment mechanism. Is the way to ban some produce who don't respect our sustainable way of producing. Also, all the import products must respect EU standards, and I will finish by underline the fact that for my organization FNSEA, We are in phase with the proposition of Commissioner Hogan, with also the proposition of Commissioner Dombrovskis, now in charge of trade, with open strategic autonomy. It's a good way to be always open for trade, but to look seriously at what arrive in our country. And I will finish by the biotechnology and the necessity to have access to tools to enhance our productivity. And I have wide the example of the NBT, new breeding technology, but I will also underline the CRISP procedure. For example, Mr. Biden, maybe the next chairman of USA, declared yesterday that it will be fundamental to use all the techniques to reach the price agreement. And if the American will do that, we are obliged to do that, and to change the law about GMO, to consider what is really NBT. And I will finish by the necessity that policy should be based on scientific knowledge. It's something fundamental. We hear too much the slogan of the NGO and not enough the reality of the scientific institute. We have that in the EU, and the EFSA need to be reinforced. The necessity to have impact assessments to measure the volume and the cost of some new law. It's the example of the pesticide reduction, but also for fertilizer by example. And we need to replace eventually by sustainable alternative or combination of solution. For that, I will share with you an example in France. We were under the pressure of the new government 3 years ago, when, for example, President Macron declared he want to ban glyphosate as soon as possible, and in 3 years. It was just 3 years ago, and we have developed what we call the contrat de solution, the solution contract, where 42 professional agriculture organizations are, from the farmers' side, the Union of Farmers, the Technical Institute, some private company, but also some public research institute like INRA, or the Ministry of Agriculture. And we are working on 350 different programs of research, where all these different interests really put together all the job that they do. And it's the way where we have convinced the government to be more reasonable on the ban of glyphosate without a solution. And we are involved to decrease risk and impact linked to crop production products. And for that, I want to show you this graph, where you have seen that in 10 years, the pesticide index in river in metropolitan France and overseas decrease of 20%. And the sources came from the Hauts-de-France with a public authority in my country. And I want to finish by this last scheme, where we have two things. On the left, the farm to fork strategy, 1 to 10% of non-productive land, minus 30% of fertilizer, minus 50% of pesticide, 3 more organic farming. And on the other side, you have the real economy, with asking for, in 2050, more 60% of production, where now the EU farmers have an average income less than 30% of the EU average income. And the fact that we are now in Europe and in the world for the high quality of our food, and I have why the inexpensive food you spend in Europe less and less share of your budget for your food. It's a result of the efficiency of the agriculture and also the efficiency of the CAP. In fact, we have two pathways we need to converge, and I don't know what will be the result, but it will be in medium between this strategy of the EU and the real economy. And I want to keep as final word this hashtag: target are not solution, and to have solution, we need to have the result of the research in laboratory or research in the field. But now we have not all the solution for answering to the farm to fork strategy. Thank you very much, and I apologize for my too long speech.
I wish to thank Mr. Puech d'Alissac for his statement. We are a little bit over time. I'd like to take advantage of our connection with him. And I have a question. What is the France's situation with regard to dependence on seasonal workers, which undoubtedly could be seen during the pandemic this year? And what is the situation about dependence of France to exports of agricultural surplus production?
We have seasonal worker. We need seasonal worker like every country in Europe, and even during the pandemic, the first lockdown in March and April, 30,000 French citizens want to work in farming. We have just concluded 6,000 contracts with them. It's really just 2% of them who have signed a contract, because they have discovered that it's difficult to work every day outside when it's more easier to be behind a laptop, a screen, than working outside, and sometimes more well pay outside. And about the surplus of the French production, we have high quality products, and we have a market where in Europe and in the world our products are well upping. And we are a little bit afraid by the UK market, where we sell 6 billion euro every year, and it's in our first market in Europe.
Děkuji. Ještě bych prosil další otázku.
Thank you very much. One more question which we have prepared. How can agriculture cope with increased costs and reduced profits as a result of the Green Deal?
May you repeat your question? Sorry.
How can agriculture cope with increased costs and reduced revenues, reduced income as a result of the Green Deal?
Now you have no result of the Green Deal. The risk with the Green Deal, if you produce less and less, and your cost of production will be always the same, and of course the price and the income for the farmer will be lower. And it's fundamental to know that now it's not a true price by most of the time by the consumers. And the Green Deal, it's really a big turn where it will be difficult to go if the consumer will not be okay for paying more, because everything will be more and more expensive. if you use expensive worker and your cost of production will not be the same, and of course the price of the produce will be higher.